not the reinforcements I expected, but you'll do. That fool Norn Warrior has stirred up the ghosts down here. Let me brief you. This place has a history, and I don't want your ignorance getting us killed. This was originally Charland. The humans pushed us out and built Ascalon on top of it. Over 200 years ago, we took our land back. The human king Adalbern watched his soldiers panic as we breached the city gates. Facing certain defeat, the doomed king refused to surrender.
Retreat! Retreat is not an option!
Adalbern smashed his ancient blade Magder and cursed Ascalon.
You will not abandon me!
The blast incinerated the attacking legions and turned the defending humans into vengeful spirits.
We will never surrender! Never!
The ghosts see the living as invaders. They show no mercy and no weariness, only blind hatred. Adalbern's hatred. And now, Heir's gone right into the dead king's lair. What a mess. We're going after her. She's causing trouble, and I don't want anyone dying because of her foolishness.
Hello everyone, and welcome to the Ascalon Catacombs. This is actually one of my favorite things to do in most MMOs, which is to do instances. Unfortunately, in Guild Wars 2, I haven't done a whole lot of instancing, if I'm to be completely honest. And the reason for that is because there's no group finding feature, and I have to say I've been spoiled in World of Warcraft with the group finding feature, and pretty much it's like, for me, organizing a group, I've kind of filed it under a thing of the past. So I'm really lazy when it comes to organizing groups for instances and whatnot. So I guess that's why I really never bothered to come to an instance. This character is currently level 50. Most of my gear is around level 38 to 40 or something, so it doesn't make a huge difference. And since you get scaled down to level 30 when you're in this instance anyways, I don't think it's a big deal. So as you can see, I'm just playing around here. It's pretty hectic. An instance in Guild Wars 2. So far I really liked the experience. Obviously, as you can tell also, this is post-commentary because it's just a little bit too hectic for me right now to comment while I'm doing an instance, because I'm still figuring out stuff, figuring out mechanics, calling out targets and whatnot. In case you guys are wondering what setup I'm running, this is obviously a warrior. I've played 3 classes so far in Guild Wars 2, like I've mentioned in a video previously. I've played the Guardian, and then I've played an Engineer, and now I'm working on a Warrior. And the reason you see me fooling around with the traits right now is because I was actually looking for a specific trait that would buff my allies, because I knew that there was a trait that did that. In the meanwhile, the allies just started pulling monsters, and I'm just like, God damn it, where the hell is that trait? But there's a trait there that I'm still going to have to take another look through the traits tree. But there's a trait there that basically increases everyone's power by 70. So I'm looking for that specific trait. There we go. Increases the power of nearby allies by 70. And then I just noticed that I was missing another trait that I hadn't placed. And I think it's a really nice thing that you can change these things around to better suit the situation. It just increases your overall versatility, in my opinion, which is really good. So I think that a lot of people in this group were actually doing this for the first time as well, which was a good experience, because the first time I came here, everyone was skipping through cutscenes. So I would watch a cutscene, and all of a sudden, like, everyone was like miles ahead of me. So this was a good experience with this group here. In case you guys are wondering which classes we have as well, we have an Elementalist. Oh yeah, here I was also eating, because eating grants you additional experience and stuff. And I'm actually a chef in this character. It's really fun. If you want to do like power level through your profession, it's obviously not as fun as the way that I'm doing it, which is I'm basically looking at it and kind of figuring out the different recipes, fooling around with ingredients and whatnot. And it's a lot of fun. As you can see, after we killed all of these dudes, we actually got a boss here. I'm not sure if this is like a full-fledged boss or just a mini-boss, or what do you want to consider this. I'm trying to gather his attention as much as possible. Obviously, there is no tanking class in here, so I'm just trying to be as annoying as possible while also dodging his attacks, so that I will become some kind of a preferred target. But I don't think it really works that way. I was just trying to do it. It doesn't mean that I was actually being effective at it. As you can see there, I was using my, I don't even know what you call that skill. It's for the warriors, it's a specific weapon skill. Each skill has one, which is the thing where I was just swinging my sword wildly. And so far, for warrior skills, my favorite set, because I knew that I wanted to make a warrior, and I wanted to make him as tanky as possible. So obviously I wanted to have a shield, and I also really like the fact that having a shield allows you to do shield slams, because you guys know, that's what's up. I like shield slamming the crap out of everything. So here you see me reviving an ally as well. Very important to get all of your allies up, since you're not really tanking. You can just leave the focus of the boss whenever you want, because the boss will chase everyone down. And I realize this is confusing to a lot of people. They're like, what do you mean there's no tank, no healer? No, there's not. People just have to use the dodge mechanic and their healing ability to stay alive. Even though I'm really tanky, I still sometimes have to dodge and use all kinds of defensive skills to stay alive. Now my weapon set, like I was saying, I wanted to have a shield because obviously I wanted to be able to shield slam, and I wanted to have a tank warrior. But besides the shield, you also get 2 weapon sets as a warrior. And I say as a warrior because most classes get 2 weapon sets, but there's actually one class that doesn't, unless he gets it at a really high level, which is the engineer. That actually surprised me. But that's because the engineer has a lot of weapon kits. And weapon kits basically allow you to switch out your weapon set for a specific weapon, like in the case of the engineer, one I really enjoyed was the flamethrower, and there's other ones like that. Here, as you can see, there's a lot of AoE effects on the floor. There was an elementalist casting AoE. You obviously want to stay away from red circles in the floor. That's pretty much a given. If you see a target on top of someone, it means that someone called them out as a target. To do that, in case you guys don't know, it is control click. So you control click your target and you can call out the target for everyone to attack. Obviously I'm attacking the monk because the monk is the one that can actually heal the other ones, so it's always useful to take out the monks first. In case you guys don't know, monk is kind of a reference to Guild Wars 1, because I don't think there is a monk class. I know there isn't a monk class in Guild Wars 2, but in Guild Wars 1 the monks were the healers, so obviously if you see a monk you want to make sure to take him out to prevent him from healing any of the other characters. Also, I'm doing a lot of my shield slam, because my shield slam interrupts people. But besides the shield, you see me here with a sword, and swords aren't usually my weapon of choice. I mean, except for Dark Souls for obvious reasons, because swords are some of the best weapons. But usually, in most RPGs, you guys know that my weapon of choice is I like to wield hammers, I like to wield axes because it's more dwarvish. And also, as you can see, I'm playing a Norn, which is a pretty big character, but this is the smallest Norn that you can possibly create. So I created the smallest possible Norn, and I gave him a kick-ass beard, which I'm not sure if you guys can really see, because through most of this time you'll be seeing the backside of my character. But the thing is, I was trying to make him as much of a dwarf as possible, but then I had to pick the sword. Why? Because in Guild Wars 2, like I told you, your skills will vary depending on your weapon. So usually in Guild Wars 2, I will pick my weapon based around the skills that it actually brings to the table. Now, axes bring some interesting skill set that I also really enjoy, but the best skill set that I've seen so far for my playstyle is the sword, because you can see that I switched the keys there, so my number 2 ability is actually Q and so forth. But basically, my number 2 ability is one of the main reasons why I want to use swords, is because you guys know that in World of Warcraft, one of my favorite things was charge. And that's pretty much what my number 2 ability is. But instead of charge, it's like a leap. You'll see me do one in a couple of seconds here. I think it's now. Or maybe not, because I got stunned. So as you can see, I called out the monk as a target, and now I'm getting targeted by pretty much everything. So I'm going to go into a blocking position here, make sure I survive. And I actually did not use that number 2 skill, but I'll make sure to let you guys know which one's the number 2 skill. I also really enjoy the specific weapon skill that you get with the sword, which is the whole swinging wildly thing, because it does a lot of damage and it also puts bleeding on your enemies. So those are 2 really good abilities that I really like from the sword, and that was probably the main reason why I ended up going with the sword. But also on top of that, you also get not really a disable, but a cripple with your sword. What was the name that we used to call these things in World of Warcraft? CC. It's not really CC, because CC is when they get stunned. But it is... well, let's just call it a cripple, basically. You get a cripple with your sword, which slows everyone down, and I like using that. Even in PvE, it's useful, because just in case you get a melee character that's trying to get to one of your casters, he's going to be getting there a lot slower, so that's always good. And, oh, it looks like they're already attacking. So there, that's the ability I was talking about, that leap attack. That pretty much puts you in the battle straight up, and it's a really good skill. Also, I like the animations on the sword, which are really well done, and you can barely see axes, if I'm to be completely honest, because maybe if you guys weren't paying that much attention, you haven't even noticed that my secondary weapon set is actually double axes. You guys might have not even noticed that if you're not really that familiar with the game, because you can barely see the axes for whatever reason. But maybe once you get further into the game, we get some better skins for axes, but the current axes skins kind of suck. Now, let me tell you exactly why I went with double axes for my secondary weapon set. It is, once again, mostly about the skills. Now, axes have... Oh, we got down there. This group was actually pretty good when it came to reviving allies and whatnot. As you can see, there's already someone there in the middle of the fray reviving me, which is a good idea, because considering that I can tank a lot of damage, I can just basically try and stand between these guys and my party and still do a lot of damage. And there's the reason why I go double axe. That right there, that blade storming attack that you guys saw there, that is something that you can do with double axes. You don't really need double axes, you just need an axe in your offhand and whatever weapon you want in your main hand. But the reason I went with double axes is because when you have an axe in your main hand, your main attack is going to be your main attack. You have a special skill, your number 2 skill, which actually reduces the armor of your enemies, if I'm not mistaken. So once you combine those two, reducing people's armor, and it's an AoE attack, so you reduce the armor of everyone around you, and then you go with the Blade Storm, like what I'm doing right now, that's actually a lot of damage that you can put out in a short amount of time. So basically, I got a tank that when it comes to dealing damage can just switch up and deal a lot of damage. And then there's also combos that you can make, like you can do the whole thing that reduces armor and then switch back to sword and board and go with the swinging wildly that I'm doing now, which is also something that I do quite a bit. So it's a really good combo for my playstyle. It allows me to be really, really defensive when I want to, as well as really, really aggressive when I want to as well. So for now, it is really my my favorite playstyle is going sword and shield and then double axes. So now you know kind of why my playstyle is like this. And we continue to progress through Ascalon Catacombs. As you can see, there really isn't a lot of interruptions. It's just most about killing stuff. We also have a level 80 in the party, but it doesn't really matter that much what level you have because it gets scaled down. It only really matters for your armor and whatnot, but for some reason it seems that in this dungeon it doesn't even matter if you're a level 80 or not, because I saw that guy get downed a couple of times, so I don't think your armor even matters that much. Then again, he is an engineer, it's not really heavy armor. Now here there's apparently a boulder that you need to put on top of a pressure plate, but I didn't even see where the pressure plate was. Here I'm actually just looking around like, where the hell was that pressure plate? But I didn't really find it, so I just kept going. Here, as you can see, there's a lot of traps, and we actually got stuck here because we were a little bit stubborn. So the reason I'm still inside the trap zone is because I'm waiting on my party members. And I was trying to locate the dude that got down. As you can see, the level 80 dude got downed. And we also have another dude that's down right there, so I'm trying to go in and save him. I think everyone's just pretty much in panic mode here, and they just really don't know what the hell to do. And we were just supposed to go through these traps, but these people aren't moving. So eventually we ended up attacking the traps, which is something that you definitely do not want to do. And I was just like, you know what, fine, whatever, we'll kill these things. It's going to take us forever, but I'm tanky as hell, so I don't really care. So I started engaging on these gargoyles, which is just, it's just a bad idea. Trust me, do not do this. Just go through these traps and ignore them. But nobody was leaving, and it's like, I'm the tank. I mean, I'm the tank not in the Holy Trinity, but I'm the tankiest character in this group, so I don't really care. As long as they're here, I don't have to leave, and I can just do damage. But they're just sticking around, killing everything, and it's just a bad idea. We really should have communicated better. It's just, I'm not even used to typing anymore, because most of the time that I'm playing with people, I'm either in Skype or in Vent or in whatever. And it's just like, I'm just not used to typing anymore, so I was just like, whatever, I'll just kill all of these things, and it's not going to be a big deal. I think I even got down here as well. But again, this, you really shouldn't be wasting your time with these traps. It's just a waste of time. As you can see, another one of our dudes got down, and I'm just like, I'm going to take this thing out, then I'm going to res him. But E was the one who took it out, actually, with one of his down skills. And now I'm really far away from the party, which is a terrible idea with this amount of low health. And the reason you notice me, that was a mistake there, because I had a target and I wanted to charge out of there, but it was just bad. It was like my second time in an instance in Guild Wars 2, so I'm still kind of learning the ropes. But it was definitely a lot of fun. Now this guy was going to res me, and then he stopped, and I'm like, what the hell are you doing, dude? Come here, res me. Take a little bit of damage. It's not going to kill you. And finally he decided on resing me, and we moved the hell out of here. We should have never been stuck there in the first place. Also, you might notice that we have an NPC in our party, and pretty soon we're going to have 2 NPCs in our party. And that is actually Ritlock Brimstone and Ascalon, which most people should know by now if they are familiar at all with the Destiny's Edge storyline. They should know who these people are. They're basically part of a guild called Destiny's Edge. And it was an alliance between all of the races, which include Ascalon. I don't remember the name of the... what was the name of it? I don't really remember the name of all of them. But it's Ascalon, Logan, Cairn. Yeah, that's it. Cairn and Zoja, as well as Ritlock Brimstone. Those are the characters, and each of them are affiliated with either humans, Norns, what's the name of the small dudes? Azura, or... I don't remember a lot of names right now. I just kind of woke up and just wanted to comment on this particular dungeon, because it's just a fun thing that I really like doing in MMOs is dungeon. You guys know me, I'm a dungeon grinder. I love doing this stuff, and the reason, like I said, the reason I didn't do it, or I don't do it more often, is because of Group Finder. I still cannot believe that Guild Wars 2 still does not have a Group Finder. It makes no sense to me whatsoever. I mean, any MMO that comes out and these days needs to have a Group Finder. It's just that simple. If you do not have a Group Finder, you're doing something wrong. I'm sorry. But yeah, going through here, keep on killing ghosts, as you guys noticed in the intro. This particular dungeon is haunted by ghosts, because King Adalbern killed everyone and cursed Ascalon into becoming like this, so it's chock full of ghosts. Also, the fun thing about it is that this whole area surrounding the dungeon is actually the starter zone of the Char, and in this area there's a lot of those little heart quests that you get that you need to go and kill ghosts. So it really tells you the extent of Adalbern's curse, and it also shows attention to detail, in my opinion, because they're not just, oh, there's this dungeon here and it's chock full of ghosts. No, there's a lot of ghosts on the outside of it as well, and here's the reason why. Here is what happened. So I thought that was pretty cool. Also, depending on availability and your interest, I'm also going to try and get in more instances. Ooh, fell down there. That was such a bad move. I was trying to dodge the NPC that we were fighting and dodged myself into a cliff. So always be aware of your surroundings, which is something that I used to say so many times in my World of Warcraft guides. Was like a tank's main skill is awareness, is knowing where the enemies are, knowing where you are, and knowing where everything is. And pretty much I just completely messed up there because I had no tactical awareness of where I was. So that's always important. So as you can see here, once again, trying to take the tank role. I'm always trying to take the tank role because simply I'm the tankiest character these guys have here. And you can actually become really, really tanky in Guild Wars 2. Like, I've tanked champion mobs out in the world, because this is obviously an instance and there's 5 of us. But I've tanked champion mobs out in the world, and I was actually able to kill a couple of them. But the funnest part was when usually more people were around, and I was just able to tank through all of the hits, and they'd be like, "Oh my god, you're pretty tough." And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm a badass."
Ridlock, what are you doing here?
I came to stop you from inciting a full-scale ghost rampage. Why are you here?
I'm looking for King Adalbern's legendary weapon, the sword called Magdir.
Magdir? Magdir was destroyed when the Sorcerer King set off the foe fire.
I think it survived. I believe the sword will be found at the top of these stairs.
You are following a foolish human legend.
You of all people should know the power of legends. You bear Magdir's twin, Sohathan. It was Rurik's sword.
What if I do? Adalbern's sword is no more, just like his nation.
Then let us go up the stairs and see for ourselves.
And now you guys are wondering, those of you who don't actually know about Guild Wars lore are like wondering, what the hell? Rurik's sword? The hell's she talking about? And for those of you who did not know, my nickname, I mean... Oh wait, there's actually a mini boss fight here, I believe.
No one disturbs our Lord Adalbern. Quit this chamber at once.
Oh, there's no cutscene.
Attack! Protect the king! Don't let them reach the sword!
I was wondering if there was going to be some kind of a cutscene, but I guess not. But anyways, going back to the whole tale about the sword thing. Ritlock's sword, for those of you who do not know, belongs to a hero from Guild Wars 1 called Prince Rurik. And the funny thing is, my nickname before becoming Rurikhan, my nickname was actually Rurik. I was using the nickname Rurik for the longest time, like long before I even got that interested in World of Warcraft or any other MMOs. I was already using the nickname Rurik, and the reason for that is that my real life name is Rui, R-U-I, which is what you guys see usually in the thumbnails of the videos I put up. And I always wondered, like, you know, it would be cool if I could change my real life name, and I mean, by change I mean just kind of to make a nickname, into something that sounded more dwarvish. So that's where the whole Rurik thing came from, because, you know, you add a couple of K's and more R's in the name, it becomes pretty damn dwarvish in my opinion. So I was like, yeah, Rurik, sounds pretty dwarvish, so I started using that nickname. Then, in the meantime, all of a sudden out comes this game called Guild Wars, and there's a character in there called Prince Rurik. And I was like, no! What have you done, ArenaNet? They pretty much stole my nickname. ArenaNet stole my nickname, and they didn't even pay me royalties or anything like that, the bastards. But anyways, once they did that, I realized I can no longer use the name Rurik, simply because a lot of people are going to be using it because of good old Prince Rurik. So, and also I have to say that, I mean, come on, stealing my nickname is one thing, but stealing my nickname putting a title on it like Prince. I mean, Prince is just not a good title. Stealing my nickname, putting a title on it called Prince, he was called Prince Rurik, and then giving that character a face like Freddie Mercury, it did not sit well with me for the longest time. I was so pissed off about that. I was like, oh my god, I can't believe what you guys have done. So then I ended up looking up for a new nickname and ended up with Rurikhan. And the reason why I had to do that was because of ArenaNet. You guys believe that? But yeah, that's why they mentioned Rurik's sword, is because Rurik used to be a hero in Guild Wars 1, and I really don't want to spoil too much of Rurik's story, so if you want to experience that...
Ritlock, the broken sword. It's the twin to your own.
Worry more about the sword's master. Look there!
I sense Sahothan's presence. Rurik, my son, you've returned!
Your son is dead. So is your kingdom. Leave us!
Foul creature, your entire race will pay. Even now, my champions prepare to invade the surface. You will fall before the might of Master Ranger Nente, deadly Kasha Blackblood, and the lovers Rolina and Vassar. We'll destroy you as you destroyed us!
You frighten no one with your meaningless threats. We've killed you before. We'll do it again.
Now you've angered them.
They were already angry. Now we must find his champions and silence them.
Also, I'm not a big fan of the Char. Let me just say that straight up so that you guys know. So I'm not a big fan of friggin' Ritlock Brimstone. I actually wanted to buy the collector's edition of Guild Wars 2, and ended up deciding against it because the majority of the price of the collector's edition of Guild Wars 2 was because of Ritlock Brimstone, the statue, I mean. And since I wasn't a fan of Char or Ritlock Brimstone, I was just like, screw all of this. It doesn't really matter. So I ended up only buying the standard digital version. But as I was saying, I do not want to spoil the Rurik storyline, so I'm not going to mention a lot about it. And if you guys really want to know about the Rurik storyline, you should just go and play Guild Wars 1. And in case you guys don't know, there's actually rewards for playing Guild Wars 1 that will spread on to Guild Wars 2. But only if you play the Eye of the North expansion, I believe. Some of the other expansions can make it easier for you to get some of the rewards, but you need to have access to this place called Hall of Legends, Hall of Monuments, and that is only available once you get the Eye of the North expansion. So if you want to go ahead and get yourself some sweet bonuses, and I mean the ones that I currently have is I got access to a pet cat that I can summon, and also a whole bunch of armor skins, so I can change the look of my armor with these items that I got from playing Guild Wars 1. And it looks pretty sweet. Like, I only really ever seen the plate armor and the medium armor, but there's also a set for light armor. But they all look pretty sweet, so it's just an incentive if you guys want to try out Guild Wars 1. However, Guild Wars 1 is probably going to be hard for you guys to actually do the quests and whatnot, because it had a lot of instances. I mean, most of the game was instanced, but it had a lot of specific instances in Guild Wars 1 that you would need more players in order to complete them. And I still think that Guild Wars 1 was a lot of fun. A lot of people did not like Guild Wars 1 for whatever reason, but I still think Guild Wars 1 was a lot of fun, and it was the best PvP experience that I've ever had, that's for damn sure. As you could see, they're switching up to DPS because these guys are rangers. They're not doing massive damage, and they weren't really targeting me, so I didn't really care. I was just like going balls out. And here we're heading on to the first boss, and the first boss is a little bit annoying because it's like it's a small arena in the middle of a cliff setting, and he teleports between the cliff and the small arena in the middle. And that's just a pain in the ass for me because I like to use that that number 2 skill that I told you guys about for mobility. And if you have a target, it's always going to try and go to the target. Oh, cinematic.
Your desire to destroy still unsatisfied, beast? Burning Ascalon not enough for you?
As long as you stalk us, we'll fight you tooth and claw.
By Melandru's will, I will rend you from this world, Char.
Yes, please, rid us of Ridlock Brimstone. I never really liked him, to be completely honest. I mean, I like his attitude, but deep down, I just don't like Char. And you guys might wonder, well, why don't you like Char? Well, in the first, you see there, I was trying to get to that arena in the middle, and I actually got all glitched out in the scenery and whatnot. So yeah, that's one of the reasons why I'm not a big fan of this fight, because you always want to keep the boss on your target, but then you can't use your number 2 skill for mobility, which I tend to do a whole lot, if I'm to be completely honest. It still feels kind of awkward to me, because obviously I don't play as much of Guild Wars 2 as I used to play other MMOs, mostly because I decided that I do not ever want to play a game to the exclusion of all others ever again. So there, as you could see, the boss was pretty far away, and I was able to actually use the number 2 skill for mobility. And here, going back to Master Reginante, and that's just the only thing there you really need to look out for in this boss, is just kick his ass and move in between platforms. Also, he's got an annoying little pet that he's got there, and I have no idea why people are going after the pet, because I think if you kill the pet, I think you'll just summon another one. So you obviously first want to kill the ranger, and then you want to go and kill the pet. Now, since they were both together, I was just like, Blade Storm the hell out of these motherfuckers! So yeah, going at it, just beating the crap. And as you can see, I can actually stun bosses, which is something that I found interesting. I doubt that you can stun like really big bosses like the dragons and stuff like that. Also, the swinging wildly sword skill also keeps people rooted in place, so that's another form of CC. I mean, I can be a really annoying target to these bosses, which is why I kind of chose this playstyle. But like I was saying about the Char, the reason I'm not a big fan of Char is because in Guild Wars 1, Char were actually villains. Like, you would actually hunt down Char and kill them. And even here, you still hunt down a couple of Char and kill them, just like you hunt down certain humans and kill them. You're just going to be hunting down people of all races and killing them, depending of their affiliation. But in Guild Wars 1, Char were really big villains. Like, they did a lot of nasty stuff. I don't even remember, like, the whole thing about the storyline and whatnot, but Char did a lot of really, really nasty stuff. So, I mean, as someone who played Guild Wars 1 to the extent that I had played, I just could never get myself to forgive the Char. Now, it's like, oh, but the Char have banded together with us because of the threat of the Elder Dragons. It's like, no, fuck the Char. Seriously, let them die in the misery of this. I mean, they cannot be trusted. They just can't be trusted. That's the way that I roll. I mean, it's like, if something happens, like someone crosses us or something, and it's like, they cannot be trusted. They just need to be put down like rabid dogs. And that's what we should have done to the Char. We should have put them down like rabid dogs. As you can see, we killed Master Ranger Nente, and there's still another wolf out. And this wolf is actually called Shadow. So we killed Fang, and Shadow appeared. So I think that as long as the hunter's alive, these guys are just going to keep respawning. Also, something to keep in mind is after you kill each of the bosses, remember to loot the chests, because that's pretty important. So we got a couple of items here. I actually got an upgrade to my sword, which was pretty sweet, because I got one of these steam blades. I really like the steam blades. They look really, really cool. Also something really, I mean, there's just so much small little details about this game that just make it so superior to other MMOs that I still don't understand why people are like, oh, the Guild Wars 2 is not, because there's a lot of people that actually still believe that Guild Wars 2 is not that good. And I don't get those people. I really don't, because it does so many things that other MMOs do not do as good. And it does them so much better. Like, right now, I'm killing a monster and I'm organizing my inventory at the same time. I mean, obviously that's not a big deal, but the big deal is the fact that while you're in an instance, you can actually break items down for salvaging, like, let's call it disenchanting, for crafting materials, and after you break them down to crafting materials, you can automatically deposit them to your storage so that they're not cluttering your inventory. Like, I came into this dungeon with a full inventory, and it wasn't a problem because I just kept picking up items. Okay, these don't matter, break these down, send them back to the bank. It's just so convenient. The one thing that lacks convenience is the fact that there's no dungeon, no group finder. I'm going to bitch and moan about this feature of no dungeon finder like for all time, for all friggin' time. It's just, I'm never going to stop bitching and moaning about this because it just needs to happen. It's like, there's no justification because the convenience of having a group finder is like, oh, I'm just gonna be here doing my thing and I'm gonna put myself in a queue to go to a dungeon, and once they find more people that want to go to that dungeon, I'm just gonna be teleported there, do the dungeon, and be sent back to wherever the hell I was. It's just so convenient. I mean, I still have no idea why it hasn't been done yet. To me, it makes absolutely no sense. Anyways, we're just kind of proceeding with the dungeon here. We killed the first, one of the real first bosses, which was Master Ranger Ninta. It doesn't, you don't necessarily have to kill that one first. You can actually go to one of the other ones, which is Cache of Blackblood, and the two lovers, Relina and whatever the guy's name is. And I think that right now we're actually going to go to the two lovers, which is probably the hardest fight in this whole dungeon, is the two lovers. Because when they get together, they gain exponential power. They become like really powerful. So it's just a pain in the ass. And also, as you can see throughout this dungeon, you have two NPCs, like I told you guys earlier, and they will just go through with you through the whole dungeon. It's kind of to give you that whole Destiny's Edge vibe. Now, I actually went this way, but we were not supposed to go this way, and this was actually my very first full wipe. And by full wipe, I mean I actually died and had to respawn. And this was actually the first time, I believe. But it was mostly because, like, okay, I engaged these guys, and a lot of them are discussing, oh, we shouldn't go that way, we should go back. And it's like, instead of helping, they're just sitting there discussing what we should be doing, and that is one of the reasons why I ended up dying, because we just got overwhelmed. Also, there were patrols and whatnot. I guess I should have been more cautious, but it was just like, I was just trying to keep on going, and then it was like, oh, you're going the wrong way, and then boom, yeah. This is where I actually went down. Another guy went down. I'm not sure if I was actually able to res here. I think they still resed me once, and then I tried laying down a banner, and it didn't work out. Yeah, they raised me once. Now I'm trying to set down a banner to actually do stuff, but people are just running away, and I got isolated from the rest of the group, which is obviously a terrible position to be in. And I'm dead. Oh yeah, they actually did not res me. I used my down skill that reses me for a little bit, and then I put down the banner. That banner basically resurrects. It is an elite banner. It resurrects all of your allies and grants them might, swiftness, and a whole bunch of other stuff. And I actually replaced my elite skill for that banner because, you know, I like having builds that are more useful in groups, which is also the reason why I was changing my traits around so that I could buff my group and whatnot. I just like a group style play more when I'm in these dungeons than just being, you know, I'm just gonna be the best I can possibly be for myself, and the hell with y'all. I'm the other way around. I'm like, I just want to buff everyone and whatnot. That's probably one of the reasons why I did a Guardian, but I got bored of playing the Guardian. It wasn't tanky enough for my playstyle. Well, actually, the Guardian can be pretty tanky, but I just ended up playing him with a staff most of the time. I don't know exactly what happened, but the Warrior definitely has been my favorite class so far. Even though in Guild Wars 1, I actually wasn't a fan of the melee combat. If you guys can even fathom that. I did not like the melee combat in Guild Wars 1 at all for some reason. I don't even remember why. I just really preferred ranged combat, so I ended up playing a ranger for most of the PvE content, and I played a monk for PvP. I was pretty decent with a monk as well. I used to run with an infuser. I mean, there was so much cool stuff that I did in Guild Wars 1 that was one of the reasons. Like, as soon as Guild Wars 2 started coming out, I was just like, I'm all over this game. there's just like not even a chance that I will not get all over this game. Because Guild Wars 1 was just that good. And the reason I haven't gotten more into Guild Wars 2 is obviously because Dark Souls Prepare to Die came out at the same time, pretty much. So obviously my focus is still on Dark Souls, because Dark Souls is just, to me, still the best game of all times. The best game of all times. There's just not even anyone else in the competition. Like Diablo 2 is in the competition, but then they came out with that bullshit they call Diablo 3. And they were like, oh, okay. And here once again, targeting the monk, getting rid of the monk as fast as possible. Calling it out, making sure everyone's attacking. I think also the NPCs tend to react to when you call out a target. The NPCs will also go after it, which is pretty good. Even though Whitlock Brimstone was just proving me wrong there. Whitlock Brimstone has an interesting set. He plays with a sword and a pistol. Interesting. That's because he's an idiot and he sucks. I hate Whitlock Brimstone, I really do. I just hate him. Hate him with a fiery passion. And warriors can't even wield pistols, so I'm not sure what's up with that. He's like a special class. He's special, alright.
Bring that one down.
That Char hates. You could call me a racist, because I don't like the Char at all. Also, if you guys notice my utility skills, I'm running a build that I personally even consider that it's a build that does not take a lot of skill, to be completely honest, because a lot of this build is based around, well, it's not really the build itself, it's the skill choices that I've made. The skill choices that I've made for my utility choices are all around using signets. And what do signets do? Signets have a passive ability as well as an active ability. But the thing is, basically I'm stacking a lot of passive stuff so that I just become more powerful passively and I don't have to actually use a lot of skills. And I think that's kind of a cheap way to play, so to speak. Because, I mean, if you're just relying on passive skills, you don't have to do a whole lot. You can just auto-attack and get by. But it's the most efficient way to play when you're soloing and stuff. This is what I found to be the most efficient way to play, because I got like a signet there, which is the healing signet. That pretty much gives me passive health regeneration. Then you got the might signet, which passively increases your damage, if I'm not mistaken. Then you got the signet number 4, which I don't even remember what it does. Then you have another one that reduces the damage you take. And, I mean, there were just like a whole bunch of passive skills that I'm using, so my character just becomes really powerful with his auto attacks even. So yeah, I mean, eventually I will switch it up. I want to make more use of banners and stuff like that. I want to make more use of shouts as well, because I think that shouts can actually be better for group play than obviously these passive skills. But still, there's definitely going to have to always be a passive skill that I'm going to be using, even if it's the reduces damage skill, pretty much, because like I said, I'm going full tank. If you notice the traits that I had selected, it is pretty much the traits that have vitality and toughness, which is the reason why I'm getting those traits mainly. Now here, as you can see, we are taking down Relina and whatever his name is, Vasar. And they're kind of apart right now, so we're keeping them apart. But there's actually a more effective way to take them apart. And I didn't even notice before I did this particular try. But that is to pick up the stones that are on the floor, throw the stones at them, and you can actually like just push them away from each other as much as you want. Even though right now we're just focusing on this chick, because I believe there's actually a mage. Yeah, the mage is trying to tank the other one away, which is a really good strategy actually. If you can like separate them and just keep one guy just kind of tanking it away from the rest of your group, you can just take down one of them and it should be pretty effective. However, as you can see, what happens is they're teleporting all over the place, and I believe that eventually they teleport near each other. I also did my 500th revival there. As you can see right now, they're together, so I'm just kind of figuring out what the hell am I supposed to do. And you're actually supposed to pick up these boulders and bonk. Although I kind of messed up there. Now that I think about it, I should have been aiming the boulders from another point so that I could push him away from her. I was actually pushing him towards her, and they were basically getting the buffs. Now we're trying to keep everyone alive here, but this is, like I said, this is probably the hardest fight in this whole dungeon because it's so hectic and there's two bosses, and when they get together it's just devastating. Now here I'm picking up a boulder, and once again I was going to aim it wrongfully, but thank God the guy actually moved, but he did get obstructed, so it didn't do much for us. So now I'm getting back on Relina, but my health is just going down way too fast, and I'm just trying like, need to get away, need to survive. 104, and boom, lightning to the face, good night. Now here I was actually obviously trying to get revived, but there's not enough people. I mean, I wasn't gonna have enough time to revive, so I was just trying like, okay, let's put down the banner. But the banner actually has an area of effect that is pretty limited when you really think about it. But I was just trying to stay in the banner, and I was wondering if I would get revived once the effect ran out, but no. You don't. Because I revived myself using the down skill, and I was hoping that the fact that I was under the revival banner, I could have gotten revived. But it obviously didn't happen. So here I was just looking, seeing, oh my god, I'm going to have to walk so long to get back in this. But the thing is, once you actually are down, after you're no longer using those down skills, you know, because when you get down, you can use those skills still that will eventually allow you to get back up. But you can get healed really fast when you're in that state. But once you actually die, it takes like forever to heal you. It's just not even feasible during a boss fight to think about resurrecting someone who has been fully down. And my voice is going away because I've been commenting for so long. So that was the reason why I just ended up like, okay, I'll just go back and try to still come back and help with the fight. And it's not just me. There were more people apparently that got down that are also running back. And as you can see, using that 2 skill for mobility back there, I don't think I'm going to be using it now because I'm almost reaching the boss. And I want to make sure that I have it available so that I can jump on top of the boss as soon as I get there. I almost, a lot of times I've wondered, like, I should really just get a Warhorn on my offset so that with the Warhorn I could run faster. But it's just so much more useful having the double axes on my offset that I've never really done the trade. Now here we finally have Vasar isolated because Relina is down. And at this point the fight is pretty damn simple. It's just get in there, beat the crap out of him. And as you can see, a lot of people are just throwing down boulders now. Oh, that guy actually summoned a wolf there. Is he a ranger? No, he's a guardian. So that's the Mistfire wolf. I still don't have that skill. Oh, no, that's probably actually some kind of a Sylvari wolf. Interesting. I'm just commenting on other people's abilities because, again, I'm not that experienced with Guild Wars 2 yet. I'm just playing it for fun mostly. I think a lot of people did something wrong with Guild Wars 2, and by people I mean players, which was they assumed that, like all the other MMOs, the best content was going to be, like, at the end. Because, you know, a lot of MMOs these days, it's like you just level up to the max level, and once you get to the max level is when stuff really begins. But I have to say that both for Guild Wars 2 and for SWTOR as well, even though I don't really play SWTOR anymore, but both for Guild Wars 2 and SWTOR, I have to say that a lot of the fun in the game is not actually when you reach max level. Now in World of Warcraft, that is definitely the case. The best content is once you reach max level, and everything in between, to me at least, was mostly filler content. But in Guild Wars 2 and SWTOR, it's really not like that. You don't really have to reach max level in order to have fun. There's just a lot of fun pretty much at all levels, which is one of the reasons why I'm not focusing so hard on power leveling. Because if I was power leveling, I think I have like a stack of, I don't know, 30 experience boosts spread out through all the characters that I've created so far. So I could just stack those back to back and just power level myself to max level. It's just not something I'm interested in though. It's just, I want to experience the whole thing. I want to do it slowly, experience the dungeons, experience the locations, experience your story. And speaking about story, that's actually something that I have to really give it to them. The fact that they don't overwhelm you with quests. The only time you get overwhelmed is if you're kind of like me and you want to complete all the areas in the world. That can be pretty damn overwhelming. But if you just like go around the world exploring, you're only going to have one quest, your main quest, and that's it. The rest of it is just exploration. And that's something that I really, really like about Guild Wars 2. It's like, I'm tired of this area, I'm going to another area. Screw this. It's like, I don't have to stay here. I don't have to do this event. I don't have to do this area. I can do another area. I can do other events. I can advance in my quest. I can go do PvP. There's so much stuff. And now even dungeons. I can go do dungeons. I mean, I haven't been doing a lot of dungeons, like I told you guys, but dungeons is also an option. I believe that you get one at level 30, another one at level 40. Those are the two that I know of, which is Ascalon Catacombs, which is the one we're doing right now. Then there's Catacus Manor, I believe, which is hopefully the next one. I'm going to be making a video about that one as well, if all things go well.
Why are you here? This is the land of ghosts.
Stand down, Spectre. We seek only to protect the living.
Don't chat with her, heir. Dispatch her.
You see, his attitude is in the right place, but he's still a scumbag. I hate him. I'm a racist. I do not dig Char. Like I was saying, I don't know which are the other dungeons available, but I assume there's probably going to be a dungeon at level 50, another one at level 60, 70, and 80, I assume. And then there's also the explorable versions. Now, for the explorable version, I think I'm only going to do explorable versions once I get to 80, because I tried doing the explorable version once of Ascalon Catacombs, and it was pretty damn tough. It was pretty damn tough. And if you factor that into the fact that you're also going to be, that I'm probably going to be doing it with a pug, it's going to obviously be even harder, because there's always going to, in a pug, there's always a couple of people that don't really know what they're doing and don't really know what they're supposed to be doing with their class, with their spec, you know, that kind of stuff. Now, on this fight, I'm not sure if you're supposed to be hitting the minions or not, or if you're just supposed to be hitting Kasha. I don't even know what those lightning, not really lightning, but those laser beams or whatever, I don't even know what those do. I was just like kind of going through this fight like, oh, I have no idea what the hell I'm doing. And if you see me run away, it's a fear. She does a fear constantly, as you can see there. I was always trying to attack these minions, but it seems that it's not really related. You just need to focus on Kasha. That's what it seemed to me like for most of the fight. I mean, this one is not really that hard. I'm just trying to keep these minions off of my party when I get to them, but it seems that whenever I got to the minions, they would just die instantly. So I was like, oh, whatevs. Hey, at least I got some sweet upgrades for my sword throughout this instance. As you can see here, trying to take out the bone minion, but it doesn't really seem to matter that much, because if you keep focusing on her, she just goes down. I wonder if you come here and if you come here in explorable, it's actually a completely different dungeon almost, because the dungeon's the same, but the bosses and the monsters in it are completely different. And also the paths that you can take are pretty damn different, so I don't know.
All this death, Adelbert's blood must be boiling by now. Perfect chance to deal with him.
Ooh, perfect chance to deal with him, huh? Char scum. So there I was making sure I got the loot, and here I was actually like, what the hell are we supposed to do now? Oh, King Adelbern's back there in the middle, so let's just go right back where we came from, was my thought. And then eventually I was like, oh wait, there's actually like a waypoint that you can get to. But I was almost sure that we came through here, so I was just running around like, what the hell are we supposed to do? Derp. I actually did not remember where we came from, so I was just like running around, totally lost. And eventually someone linked Mural's waypoint there, and I was like, oh, okay. Okay, fine, let's go. And from here, we're actually going to be taking on the final boss of the dungeon, which is King Adelbern. Rurik's father, or the ghost of Rurik's father. And there he is. And I was just like, ugh. I remember the first time I came here, like, this guy was one-shotting most people. That was a pain in the ass. He was just, like, one-shotting us.
What have you done?
Your champions are gone, Ghost. Just like your son and your kingdom.
I will have my vengeance. Join me in death.
Join me in death. King Adalbern's pretty pissed off. As you can see, his sword is broken. That is the twin sword to the sword that Rytlock carries, as you can see. Except his bright's orange fire and King Adalbern's is like blue fire, but it's broken. And now we're just beating the crap out of this one. This one is mostly just about avoiding his area of effect, which is kind of hard because there's a lot of effects on screen. So that's a pain in the ass. Rytlock also can tank this boss pretty damn well, so you always want to try and keep Rytlock alive. That thing that you see right there all around us, that was actually an engineer ultimate. It's pretty good. Those packs that you see on the floor, they actually give you health if you just run over them, which is something that I should be doing, in all honesty. Except I didn't even notice it, and now I have been downed. I believe I get rezzed this one time, but then I believe there's another time that I will also get down. Now here I summoned my Warbanner simply to buff everyone with more damage, but I actually summoned it in a pretty poor location. I should have summoned him like right on top of Adalbern. That would have been a better strategy. Now Adalbern has been knocked down, and he's back up, and everyone's just using everything on him. I mean, someone's even using Guardian Skill to keep him in place, even though it doesn't really matter because he doesn't seem to move much. So yeah, this is pretty much just tank and spank throughout the most of the dungeon, but it's still a lot of fun. You get to experience a lot of background history between Ascalon and the father of Rurik and all of that stuff. It's fun. To me, it's really, really fun. That's all I can really say about Guild Wars 2. A lot of people, again, are just all about that end game and that meta game and whatnot. Me personally, I'm all about the fun these days, and seriously, just I believe there's actually some events which those are considered the end game of PvE, which is just these world events where you fight massive dragons. I haven't gotten there yet, but hopefully I'll get some footage of that as well in the future, so that I can show you guys about those particular fights. Even though I've heard some people complain that it's basically just get there and auto attack, but I mean, I hope there's more to it than that, but I can't really pronounce myself until I actually see the events. And that is something that I'm actually interested in seeing as soon as I can. Now here you can see that I'm resurrecting Rytlock because, like I said, Rytlock is pretty beast mode tank for King Adalbern. So I'm trying to get him up so that he'll go in there and just deal some more damage, jumping in after Rytlock. Even though, again, I do not like Rytlock. Think he's a motherfucker. But I was trying to res another player there, or was that Air? That was Air Stagalkin, yeah. But it was just taking too long, and I was just like, screw it. Just gonna go balls deep. Balls deep, guys. Go in, balls deep, and kill Adalbern. Just even went friggin' full DPS mode and then just sliced him up with the axes.
You've defeated me, but what have you gained? Much deadlier things stir beneath us. They'll consume you all.
Magdare is shattered, but I know a blacksmith who can mend these pieces.
Did you really think that if you got me a sword, you'd earn forgiveness?
For you, the sword would be for Logan.
What? Why would you risk our lives, my life, for that coward?
I thought it would heal old wounds. It would remind you.
Remind me of what? Betrayal? You've become a sentimental old woman. We're finished here.
Why does Rytlock hate Logan?
Mistakes from a lifetime ago. Best forgotten. Rytlock's right. I've gotten too sentimental. Too weak.
And the person that appears in the final cinematic there, is actually the party leader, if I'm not mistaken. I think, anyways. So anyways, I hope you guys have enjoyed this episode of Guild Wars 2 Dungeons, so to speak. As usual, leave me your feedback, your likes, dislikes, all that kinds of good stuff, so that I know if you guys like this series or not. And that's going to be it for this one. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next one.